Now to finish this unit, let's take a look at the area of triangles. Okay, so the area of triangles, but first of all, let me remind you guys area of a rectangle, right? Because a rectangle is pretty simple. So let's say I have a rectangle. Let's say that a rectangle is 3 by 6, okay? Can we agree in this case that the rectangle is 18, the area of the rectangle, right? 3 times 6 is 18, right? We can agree on that, okay. Now let's say I cut my rectangle in half, boom, right there in the center. Remember how it was 18? The whole rectangle is 18? Can I say each half is 9? Because I cut it in half, right? The half of 18 is 9. Now, interesting, I take a look at this shape right here. Nice. The half of a rectangle is what we know as triangle. Now, one thing, very, very important. My rectangles have a 90-degree angle, right? It has it's a little corner, like a little box. And remember, those are the numbers I multiplied to begin with. My triangles will have such corner as well, right? Sometimes, like look at number 11, that corner is inside the triangle. I see it inside the triangle number 11. Sometimes that corner is inside the triangle. Sometimes it's outside, like I see in number 12. Sometimes it's outside. And sometimes it's even a corner of the triangle, because I could have a triangle right there. Sometimes it could be a corner of a triangle. Now, let me remind you, a triangle is half of a rectangle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to treat it like a rectangle first. I'm going to multiply the two numbers that meet at my 90-degree corner. I'm going to multiply those two numbers, and whatever I get, I'm going to divide it by 2. And the reason why I'm dividing by 2, because a triangle is half of a rectangle. All right, so let's take a look at question number 11. I look at my 90-degree corner, that little red box. It's made by the measurements 2.8 and 4. There are some numbers I'm not quite going to use, okay? So don't think you have to use everything. Okay, so I'm going to go 2.8. I'm going to multiply 2.8 times 4. So remember, that's what we do for rectangles, right? We multiply those numbers. So 2.8 times 4. Now, whatever I get in this case, let me divide it by 2. Now, why do we divide by 2 again? Because a triangle is half of a rectangle. So matter of fact, you might, if you Google it, if you Google this, some people might say base times height divided by 2. And then some people say the half of base times height. Again, they could use length times width or whatever names they want to use those. But if you notice it, that you're looking at a rectangle and then cut it in half. Okay, so now here, let me type it on my calculator. 2.8 times 4. Boom, I press enter. Then my result, let me go divided by 2. My answer here it is 5.6. Good. Now looking at number 12. I see my 90-degree corner is made by the numbers 5.8 and 5.7. So I'm going to go 5.8 times 5.7. So 5.8 times 5.7. Boom, I press entered. And then I press divide by 2. Now I press entered and I get 16.53. Now, let me remind you of everything we saw this unit. We started by just counting squares. Then we saw rectangles, parallelograms, trapezoids, and then now we're finishing with triangles. For next unit, just to give you guys a heads up what's coming up, next unit, I'm going to start combining. I'm going to combine figures. gonna be a little more interesting.